let's see if you can welcome Maggie. Hold it.
Hello, everyone. Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
We stand on guard for thee. 2 years ago, we came here by the thousands from every province across this country to reassert our rights and remind this government of their sacred duty to protect those rights. This government responded by unconstitutionally declaring a national emergency and clearing these streets with military-like force. We are here to remind them, whose streets are these?
Our street.
Our streets. Whose hill is this?
Our hill.
Whose parliament?
Our parliament.
Amen. Shame on Parliament. Canadians declare non-confidence.
Amen.
2 years have passed and we continue to witness conduct in this House of Commons that is alien to the most basic principles of morality, integrity, and the rule of law. Shame on Parliament.
Shame on Parliament.
Canadians deserve so much better. We are here to remind them of two core principles upon which our society was founded and upon which we consented to be governed. Firstly, that all people have basic rights that cannot be violated. And secondly, that governments were created for the purpose of protecting those rights.
Thanks, K5.
True patriot love in all our hearts command. Increasingly, we see governments abusing the immense power of public office to undermine those core principles, imposing policies that deny our rights to manage our own lives, levying taxes to support poorly conceived and incompetently planned and managed policies that are incompatible with our needs and wishes, dictating to us what we must believe, what we must do, and how we must live, and denying us rights to services that are essential to our lives while sending our money overseas and lining their own pockets. Shame on Parliament.
Shame on them.
We have not consented to this form of government. If civilized society is to be restored, change is needed. There are 2 steps to bring about this change. Firstly, we the people must understand these core principles. And secondly, take steps to ensure that those in public office consistently defend them. A statement of principles has been independently drafted. A statement of principles on the rights of persons and the duties of government. This statement has been sponsored by Civis for Reform. This document is a document that will help us to get back on the same page with those in public office and public service. Any 21st century, civilized 21st century public servant would never work against these basic principles. Therefore, this document will be presented in every riding to every level of government and every public service worker. From the Bonavista to Vancouver Island, you know it, from the Arctic Circle to the Great Lake waters, this is the purpose of Civis for Reform's CATS local councils.
Good job, Maggie.
Let us fulfill what Henry David Thoreau wrote in his essay on the duty of civil disobedience, which we have all stepped up to, thank God. He wrote, "Let every man make known what form of government would command his respect, and that will be one step closer to obtaining it." And that is what that statement of principles will do. From far and wide, O Canada, may our hearts arise, and our glorious nation rise once again and set an example for the rest of this world. The statement of principles is currently being translated into every language so it can be taken across the world. And you can find out more about that at civisforreform.org. I'm going to move on quickly to, most of you know I've been promoting work in local councils. Basically, giving you just a brief overview. We found a document from 1994 that the United Nations gave to our municipalities across the country. It is called the Municipal Primer. The subtitle of this document It says promoting sustainable development through local strategic action. They even have a flow chart here on how they will implement Agenda 21 through Canadian municipalities. We are taking this document and going in and addressing our council's strategic plans and other plans that they are drafting. And we are pointing out that it is not a principle of good government to base strategic plans off 30-year-old documents from international organizations with unelected international organizations with plans on how to implement their agenda. And we're pointing out to them that any act preparatory to the takeover of our nation is an act of treason. And we are moving forward and having success with this. So this is something we can do all across the country, and I truly believe that local action is the way, and even these globalists know it. That's why they went straight for our municipalities. So this is where the action is, and this is where we have our voice, and we can go into our local councils, and it's easier to organize at that local level. Now, the last thing I will talk about is a group called Take Back Ontario. Now, I went to Alberta and I showed them what we were doing in our local councils, and they said, it sounds like Take Back Alberta.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, that's interesting. And then a group formed in Ontario for Take Back Ontario. So you can go to their website, check out their weekly meeting, and if you're on board, it's a very good way to get people organized across Ontario so we can have more effective, more power, and hold them more accountable. They were able, this is how they keep Danielle Smith in line, and we in Ontario need to step up because everything that happens here is affecting the rest of the country. And Alberta, the West, and the East are really looking to people in Ontario to get us organized. You can find out all about this. I couldn't bring a sign for everything, but if you go to Gather 2030 on Substack, I'm listing various different organizations and strategies that are proving effective, that you can find what works for you and what you're called to do, and find your calling and step up. It takes all of us working together. I think that's all I have to say, and I just love you all so much, and I can't wait to spend the rest of the day and the weekend with you. So, lastly, do we have the pylon?
Behind you.
Speaking about the rest of the country, we wanted to shine a bit of light on what's happening in the political prisoner situation in Alberta. And of course, we all experienced it. I spoke to someone last night who didn't back down and went to sentencing yesterday, and she held strong. So we are going to do a little fundraiser for James Sowery. He is not one of the Coots 4, but he has recently been put in prison for 10 months for hitting a pylon. Okay? So, if you'd like to put money in here for the pylon, we are raising money for James for his appeal. And hopefully we will get some justice with that. And also there's a few pylons to auction off, I believe. Mini pylons. Okay.
Okay, so